episode of Huber Syndrome. It is a very special episode. We are joined by none other than What's Good Games, Brittney Brombacher. Did I say it right?
Like 99% of it, but you know what?
Yes.
You did better than 99% of other people, so I'm going to give you a big round of applause.
Yes.
Proud of you, Huber.
How are you? This has been so long coming.
I know. I feel like we've been trying to have this conversation for literal years now. I remember we were supposed to do this on Kinda Funny back in the day.
Yes. And if you don't know, watching, I missed my flight that day, and I just kept like texting everyone, like, I'm gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it.
I know, and your flight kept getting delayed further and further.
I was in the airport for hours, but here we are, and no better time, really.
Oh, there's just a bunch going on with Resident Evil, so it's kind of perfect.
Yeah,
and it's
25th.
So freaking cool, because I feel like whenever there's a big Resident Evil announcement, there's at least a ton of people, I don't know how many, math is hard, but they're always like adding you in Twitter, and they're like, hey, you guys should talk about this,
Yes. I also love, too, just like new eras of Resident Evil, like fans coming in, or like, what is this series? I've never played it. Let me start from the beginning. Like, I've seen so many people see Village, and they're like, okay, it's time to catch up.
There's so much, man. Like, the fucking history of Resident Evil is just so convoluted. I've been playing this game since like the 90s, and I still can't wrap my head around it. It's just like,
let's get into that. Like, your earliest origins, your earliest memories of this franchise. How did it find you? How did you find Resident Evil?
Well, let me take you back to 1998.
Yes.
I think I was in 4th grade at the time, and my childhood buddy Tucker, he was my gaming buddy, and so he would always recommend new games to play and vice versa. And one day he came over and he was like, hey, we should get your dad to take us to Hollywood Video. And
Hollywood Video, shout out.
Fucking Hollywood Video, rip in peace. And he was like, there's this really cool game out there called Resident Evil 2, and I think you would really like it. And I was like, okay, cool. I mean, at that point, I was playing like Breath of Fire, like Super Mario RPG, like really chill, nice, upbeat games. I don't know why he thought I would like Resident Evil 2. So my poor father, I had a very big change of pace. So we go to Hollywood Video. He doesn't even look at the ESRB rating. He's like, what is that? He doesn't even understand what it is. We get it home. We start playing it. And it terrified me so much, Huber, that I literally could not play Resident Evil for probably 4 or 5 years after I played Resident Evil 2. And I did not even get past the opening sequence. I don't even think I got to the RPD.
Just the streets, dying in the streets.
Just the streets. And there's that opening scene, and this is what honestly traumatized me. I know, it traumatized me the most, is when you have the semi-truck driver, and he gets bit at the gas station, right? And as he's driving, about to plow into Claire and Leon, he turns into a zombie. That specific part, for some reason, scared me shitless.
Yeah.
And so whenever I would close my eyes at night, I would envision zombies slowly like shambling toward my bedroom window.
So freaky.
Oh, yeah. So, like, my first array into Resident Evil was not a very, like, pleasant one, because it literally traumatized me for years. But when I got a hold of a little thing called the Game Shark, or Action Replay, in middle school, I feel like I could build up the courage to finally play it. And then that's when I really got into it. Yeah.
Some unlimited ammo, or like...
Oh, yeah, infinite health, rocket launcher, let's go. Right?
So good.
I know.
I feel like it's always a friend that, like, shows you the way of, like, I had a friend also that got me into it. I never had a PlayStation, and my friend was just like, yo, you gotta check this game out. And it was just, growing up, I don't know if you felt the same way, but like, Resident Evil is so fun to play with others. It's a single player game, but like, just other people watching you play, or you watching other people play. It's so fun.
I am 100% there with you. So the next game I played after Resident Evil 2 was actually Code Veronica on PS2. Because that's when I felt like, okay, I'm brave enough to do this now, and I got an action replay. And so I played that with my friend, and she and I played it side by side. She was being like my little guide through it. Yeah. And you're right, there is something so fun about playing that. And I think it comes down to the puzzles that are in that game. You never know where the story is going to take you. And so you're always guessing, and you're always trying to figure out, okay, so what if we do this and we go here and we use this puzzle piece over there? And yeah, it's just really fun to play with other people, which is something I don't think you'd expect from a single player survival horror game, but here we are.
You were talking about, you got into 2 and then you played Code Veronica. When did you start becoming obsessed? Like, when were you like, yo, I need to learn about these bioorganic weapons.
Ooh,
I need to learn about Umbrella.
Do you have those archive books? You know, like the Resident Evil archives? I have all of those, and I study those from front to back. Oh, they're the best. Yeah, I would say it was after I got back into Code Veronica, then I realized that the Resident Evil, the remake, and then you had the, what was it, 3 that was on the GameCube back then, and that's what my Action Replay was compatible with anyway. And so when I went back and I played them through all over again, and I just found this series had this best fucking lore. Like, the story is so good, right? Yes. It's so good. It's so engaging. It's so out there. It's so Capcom. But I think it was at that point, because there's so many pieces being thrown at you. And what's really great is I think you can enjoy Resident Evil from a surface level, right? But then once you start really diving in, you're like, holy shit, there's so many moving parts to this. And so I think it was at that point, I'm like, okay, so how did Umbrella get started? Who's this Spencer dude? Who's Marcus? When does Wesker come in? What's the Wesker project? Like, what? You know?
Yeah.
So
do you have a favorite villain or hero?
I would say Wesker is a very fascinating character because if you look how he's played the field and how he's manipulated both sides, including Umbrella and everybody else, it's kind of interesting what a messed up dude he is. But I would say I think the biggest asshole of all assholes is probably Spencer. He did some nasty shit. Yeah.
Totally. Do you want Wesker to return? I know some people are mixed, you know. This guy's been around for so long. He kind of had an epic culmination in Resident Evil 5. You know, the Bakers were amazing in 7. They were brand new villains and they were awesome. And Dimitrescu obviously looks incredible. But
okay, how do you say it? Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu? I'm phoning it in. I'm just trying here.
I call her Lady D because I can't even
Lady D.
Lady D.
Oh, I'm copying that.
I can't do Lady Dimitrescu. I can't do it. Oh, I picked such a complicated name. Why is it so complicated? Oh, I don't know about Wesker. I mean, he's pretty dead. Like, he's like molten lava at bottom of a volcano dead, right?
Totally. Rocket launchers.
What do you think? Do you want him to come back?
He's my obsession.
Okay.
Like, top villain of all time, like next to Orochimaru. I don't know if you watch Naruto. They're very similar. They're obsessed with like God complex and immortality.
That sounds right.
And all this. So, I don't know. I like what they did in Revelations 2 with kind of the Wesker project and that whole angle with Alex. I think that would be an interesting thing, but...
Yeah, you know, I think I wouldn't mind seeing Wesker be brought back, because let's be real, it wouldn't be the craziest thing that the series has done.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind the fun throwback, I guess.
What about some supporting characters like Sheva or
Helena?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and I think that's part of the other kind of weird issue with these games. I mean, we love them, let's be real, but sometimes I think they can get a little bonkers, too bonkers for their own good. And I think, you know, when you look at Resident Evil 0 through Resident Evil 5 or so, it was kind of following this linear path of sorts, and then you start kind of introducing 6, and then even a little bit of 5 was guilty of this too. And then it just introduced so many new characters and so many new plot lines that you can really tell they reined it in for RE7.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're like, okay, I can start to see the vision again, because before you didn't know like what they were doing with it.
Yeah.
So supporting characters, like none of them have really like, you know, I mean, maybe I'm just traditional in that sense, but I just love the original casting crew. Of
course.
You know?
Well, freaking Rebecca Chambers getting sidelined in the freaking anime movie as like some hostage wife. I'm offended. I'm so offended.
You know what I want to know though? I want to know what the hell is up with Jill Valentine.
Dude, Village.
Brittney. Me too. Yes, thank you. I think so. It has to happen. She's long due. The last time we heard from her was in like 2011 when she wrote that letter to Barry, right?
Yes.
And she's like, I can't wait to get back into field work. Well, okay, it's been 10 years. Like, where are you?
I'm so... Because, like, who can snap Chris out of his maniacal state? He looks out of control. He's wearing black trench coat, shooting people, silenced pistols. What is going on with Chris?
I just want to ask, what do you think is going on with Chris in Village? Like, do you think he's good guy, bad guy? Has he lost his mind? Like, what's happening?
I mean, he's definitely doing something dark. It feels sinister. I know 7 got into, like, mind control. Mm-hmm. So maybe
that's
Chris could be under some kind of spell or hypnosis. Or it's like the lesser of two evils kind of thing, like doing a bad thing to prevent an even worse thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, that baby if they sacrifice the baby, maybe they just get like unlimited power or something. So
that's the whole thing, is
know.
because, so if I'm remembering this correctly, we see Chris show up to the household, and he's like, "Yo, dog, I'm here to take your kids. Sorry, I'm gonna shoot your wife in the face." Like,
so many times, too.
it's so excessive, Chris. What's gotten into you? What is wrong with you? And then it sounds like the baby was supposed to be taken to the witches and vampires, right? Like, if you look at some of the dialogue, so it's like, is he taking her there? Was she intercepted? Like, what's going on? What is up with Chris? I think there's something going on, but there's a lot of speculation too that this is gonna be Chris's final game.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
It kind of seems like it could be gearing up towards that, yeah.
Ooh.
Some sacrifice.
I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that. It's hard because, like, Chris admittedly is not my favorite character. Like, he's, he has a very important, he has an important role to play, but other than that, I feel like he just hasn't developed much as a dude throughout these series. I would be obviously very sad if he left, but at the same time, like, I just can't see them killing him off.
Can you imagine? I'm getting chills thinking about it. Can you imagine a Chris Redfield final boss? Final, like, Chris turning into some beast?
Some BOW, like, whoa.
Yeah!
He has, like, 8 eyeballs, and you have to shoot all 8 of them. Poor Chris.
It would be awesome and also sad, and it would make me feel a lot of things. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I don't know. I think now that we're talking about it, I think I would be down for that'd be a dramatic freaking way to go for Chris.
To back it up quick, this series, this franchise has evolved, pun intended, so many times. We've got fixed cameras, we've got over the shoulder, we've got co-op, we've got light gun games. Yeah. Do you have a favorite type of Resident Evil? Do you want them maybe to return to fixed cameras? I know I always love the fixed cameras. Do you like them trying new things? Where are you at with kind of just the series as a whole and shaking up the genres?
Yeah, it's interesting. I also am a fan of the fixed camera angles. I just recently went back to the original 1 through 3, excuse me, and that fixed camera.
Me too.
They're so good, right? And they're still so good. That's the whole thing. And there's a certain atmosphere that can be created with that you don't get if you have a free roaming camera, because you can hear the thing off in the corner and you can hear the glass breaking or something crunching, but you can't get there until you turn it, and then the camera wants you to see exactly what the camera wants you to see, right? Yeah. Oh, it's terrifying. It's absolutely. At first, I thought it was because you just know that shit's gonna hit the fan. So it's hard because I know that's such an old way of doing survival horror, and that I think a lot of people have kind of outgrown that. But I think there are folks like you and I who really do appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
But what I do like so far, what we're seeing with Resident Evil in the series, is I like that they're taking the older games and reinventing them. Like we saw that with 2. We're seeing that with Nemesis. And I have a sneaking suspicion, and I'd love to talk to you about this, the ending scene of Resident Evil Nemesis.
My God, yeah.
And then you have Village, and then you have Resident Evil 7. So it's like Capcom is experimenting with new things, and I think that's fantastic. I think the experiments they did in 6, and a little bit of 5 again, like not my favorite, just kind of was like, I don't know what you're doing here, but I think they've reined it back in. So I like that they're reinventing the old games, but they're also expanding the universe with these new games as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Oh, yeah.
I really like this game. There is quite a lot of backlash for this one that I've seen, and it's still kind of around. I see people criticize the hell out of Resident Evil 3 Remake. I know there was a lot of content, like the clock tower is always brought up. Nemesis is pretty scripted for the majority of the game. What are your thoughts on Resident Evil 3 Remake?
Resident Evil 3 Remake. I also had some issues with it. That said, I did thoroughly enjoy it. I enjoyed my time with it. I think it expanded on Jill's character very well. It explored the relationship between her and Carlos, like, greatly. Like,
yes, my favorite.
Yes, it had some really, really high points. I think what was disappointing for people, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, is when you see what they did with Resident Evil 2 Remake and how they expanded. They added, like, this orphanage area, they added the different characters and the different dialogues that they added, and how it just felt like everything was just there and nothing was really cut. I think that taking that and leading into Resident Evil 3, where I feel like this was the moment where Capcom really could have deep dived into what Raccoon City was really like.
Totally.
What
so
the atmosphere,
true.
right? It would have been so cool if we maybe got a little bit of a prologue before, seeing like why Jill was cooped up in her apartment. I mean,
You're
we know why.
so right.
But like what happened before that, maybe we could have explored some additional buildings just for some backstory building or narrative. And we didn't get that. And I think the high hopes of RE2 kind of failed us there because I think our hype was just so up there. Not said RE3, not a bad game. The remake, not a bad game at all. But I think it's such a hard act to follow.
Yeah, it was like 2 brought them 7 and then 2 brought them up so high. I think you nailed it when you said like that was the chance they could have gone even further and they played it kind of safe. That's true.
Yeah. So that was like more or less my only like real issue with it. And I never really felt like butt-clenchingly scared, I guess, in Nemesis. Like, there just wasn't that atmosphere. And again, like, it's so hard because Resident Evil 2 is my personal favorite. And there's these faithful moments that are recreated in the remake, down to the part where you have the liquor crawling across the window, right? Yeah. You know, just like little things like that. And the way they took that and they delayed the occurrence of that event until a point that you weren't quite expecting it, and then they got you to shit your pants.
Yes!
You know, like little things like that. And
that's a good
I did think it was interesting the stuff they did with Brad in RE3. I think it's interesting that we find out who kills Brad in RE3.
I loved that connection. More of that. And I guess part of me was hoping for... Because, like, Raccoon City, so underutilized, you're so right. Even in Resident Evil 2, I remember going to the orphanage and, like, that trek there, I was like, oh, more Raccoon City, please. And it's kind of short. Exactly. So it's like, oh, maybe they're saving it for Resident Evil 3. Now I'm hoping it's for Resident Evil Outbreak. Let's get another Outbreak in the vein of Resident Evil Remake 2 and 3 in Raccoon City with Marvin, with all these characters. Like, that's a way. Yeah.
Marvin.
Can you imagine if you could play as Marvin in Outbreak? That would just be
Marvin, such an underrated character, man. Like, they did such a great job with him in RE2. The little bit of him we got, I was like, I wish I could have gotten to know you, sir.
Gripping.
I'm sorry.
Every time he speaks, I'm gripped.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good. So, going back to the end of RE3, because I want to know what your take is on this. So that final scene is, I assume, Jill.
She's got the green shirt.
Thank you. Everyone thought it was someone else, and I was like, no, that's totally Jill. Like, that's her.
Totally.
And she grabs that vial, and then she walks away. And if you look in the background, it looks like it's a hot day. There's like a little palm tree in the background. It's her apartment. What do you think that's alluding to?
Well, the punching bag... Also, the connection of the punching bag was like, are we in Chris's apartment now? Is she looking for Chris? So I think she's looking for him. That was kind of the vibe I got. And then, of course, it's weird because we're on this, like, remake timeline.
Right.
But it's, like, are we just gearing up towards Resident Evil 5, Lost in Nightmares? Like, are you going to find Chris and then take care of all that situation?
I don't know, but I hope they're expanding on her story. That's what I would love to see, is what happens between the last time we see Jill and then we see her again. Like, what has she been up to?
The Lost Years, Jill Valentine, and you have an entire game kind of in the middle of that, dude!
Right? Oh,
please,
God.
Please!
Speak about language. Speak about language. Capcom, please give us what we want. Yes. I know, that's what I would love to see. Because, I mean, she's a fantastic character. I think
best
I also really love Claire. I know she got her shot with Code Veronica, and then she was in Revelations and all that. But I want me some more Jill, for sure.
I want, like, the classic Stars reunion also. Like, Barry, Jill, Chris, and Rebecca.
Oh.
Classic reunion. I feel like it's never happened.
Imagine?
Yeah.
They're all old now and shit.
It'd be so good.
It would be so good. Yeah, there's just so much that could be done with this series. And I love that you have people like you and I are like, oh my God, the old crew, like, just please, like, keep expanding on the old crew. The new stuff is great too. Don't get me wrong, it really is. Yeah. But oh man.
Yeah, shout out to Jack Baker being so great. The villain or the 7 DLC where you play as Jack, or was it Joe?
Oh,
Jack
Joe
Baker.
The brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe Baker. Shout out to Joe Baker. Just punching crocs in the swamp.
I know. That's what I love so much. You know, it kind of reminds me, and I'm going to kind of go off a little bit of the Yakuza franchise. Because Yakuza is a serious series, right? But some of the shit you do in it is just so out of the what? Yeah. Like, how did that even happen? You know,
Yeah.
and I love that Resident Evil does that too. There's just those crazy moments where you're like, this just doesn't make any sense, but I love it and I am here for it. I'm punching crocodiles in the face.
That is a heat action if I've ever seen one. Punching a croc in the face.
Yes! Oh my god, so good.
So everyone is talking about a Resident Evil 4 remake. We just had 2. We just had 3. What about Code Veronica?
Thank you!
Disrespect for Code Veronica.
Thank you!
Like, does Capcom just skip over it and then go back? What's going on here? Is the next remake gonna be 4, or will Code Veronica get its due?
Man, I hope Code Veronica gets its due. That is such an underrated game, I feel like. And I don't know why. I don't, because at that time I wasn't playing a lot of Resident Evil, nor was I following it, because that was the game I hopped back into. But do you remember, like, why do people shit on Code Veronica so much?
I remember it being hard.
Yeah.
And the story is weird.
It's so weird.
It gets weird. You get Wesker back. You get the
Ashfords are just bonkers family.
Over the top, but in a delicious way.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I love my Dreamcast. I love Dreamcast, but it didn't sell too well. So maybe that had an impact. You know, it launched on Dreamcast. Maybe
I'm trying to, because I didn't get into it, and I don't know if it launched day and date on PlayStation 2, but that's where
it was
played
like
it.
Yeah, it was. They did the X version like a year later with the extra scenes and everything.
Got it.
So yeah, maybe it was just Dreamcast.
I don't know, because that's the one that got me back in the series, the one that absolutely hooked me. And I just say, I know there's a lot of haters out there for my man Steve Burgenside.
I was just gonna say, there's so much hate for Steve, and it is unacceptable.
I know, that's what happened to his body. I know Wesker took off with it, right? But like, what happened to it? It's just like, where is he?
Melted it down, dude, and took every scrap of DNA.
Poor Steve. Like, he was just a poor, hapless man, and he just loved him some Claire, and he just couldn't pull it off until the very end when he's dying, and then she's like, oh shit, maybe I made a mistake here. Maybe I did.
Yeah.
Poor man.
He does try to kiss her when she's like knocked out.
That's a little weird.
Not cool. The major strike against Steve. But, you know, the guy lost his dad, dude. His dad was selling trade secrets, like... Trauma. He's dealing with some trauma.
He's got some stuff going down. Yeah. And gosh, the Ashford family, that is just a whole... And it's interesting how they took, you know, because Ashford, like one of the founding members of Umbrella, whatnot, how they took that story and they kind of expanded it with his kids there. And another very fascinating story, or so I thought. I would love to see Code Veronica get a remake. I would love to. I don't know,
and that remake could really dive into the hierarchy of Umbrella, which I would love to see. You know, just Spencer and the Ashfords and kind of the history, because that's kind of what I think about Village is like, do we think this castle was a Spencer side operation? Or some kind of Umbrella side operation looking for immortality. I know the trailers have teased Umbrella logos.
Yeah.
Dimitrescu, Lady D, has shades of Tyrant. You know, big, tall, pale, spiked hand.
Beautiful woman.
Beautiful woman.
Beautiful specimen.
Commands your attention when she enters a room.
In more ways than one. Right? Damn, woman, you're 9 feet 6 inches tall. I don't know how you do it. Oh yeah, that's been the interesting theory, right? Is what's up with this? Is this because it is set where, you know, Europe somewhere, like out of nowhere, but you know, with these.
I'm just gonna say Transylvania.
There you go. That's what we're gonna say. We're gonna go with it. Make it official, Capcom. Make it happen. But yeah, like, is this where we're going to get some founding info on Village? Or, you know, in Village related to the franchise, like, are we going to tie in any of these other, like, OG characters? Because I feel like this would be a good place to do it because this castle clearly has a lot of history. Yeah. So do these witches, vampires, these very wonderful, wonderful women. Like, what's their deal? And now that you have Chris back in it, and I'm with you. I think Jill's coming back as well. You know, there's just some room for some really weird shit to happen.
Yeah.
And I can only
I'm
speculate.
ready to just, like, knock on the door and just be like, take me.
Yeah, me too. I don't even care. I don't care if you stab
Willing
me.
sacrifice.
Yes, me too. Like, we'll just present ourselves and be like, hello, we are here. Just let us
We have
die
arrived.
knowing. Just let us die knowing everything. Oh, I can't wait. And I think the thing about Village that got me super excited recently is that pan shot where you see how big the castle is.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, this looks so good. This is like oozing original RE vibes with the mansion and the estate. Oh, God.
Absolutely. Hype check on the Duke. The traveling merchant.
Yes!
What are your thoughts?
I love him. I do. I really like him. I know some people have some concerns with like the way his character is modeled, but I think he looks fantastic. And I'm gonna buy all of his shit.
Totally.
And I love that they're bringing all that like upgrade system back, and like the little Tetrisy inventory management. Like I just want to dive in so bad.
Same. Mercenaries mode. Missing from Remake 3.
Right.
A lot of people are asking for this. We got the weird Resident Evil Resistance multiplayer mode, which I liked for a while. I did. Okay. I really enjoyed my time with it. It is janky. It is not great. But there were moments of fun in there. Just being able to play as my main man, William Birkin.
There you go.
Crushing people's heads, hitting them with a pipe was fun. Now, of course, we have Reverse.
Yeah.
Which I played the beta of for like an hour, and it wasn't terrible. And I like the idea of all of the Avengers assembling and getting all of the Resident Evil great characters in there.
Right.
But Mercenaries mode, absent.
People want to know.
Glaringly so. What's going on?
I have no clue. So, like, I've never really been a huge fan of the online multiplayer modes in Resident Evil. It's just not my thing. I tend to play these games for the characters and the story and to find out, like, where the hell the story goes next. But I know, like, I've seen that where's Outbreak, where's Mercenaries mode. And from what I've understood, it's like Reverse hasn't been received all that well. It's not terrible, like you said, but it sounds like that's not what people wanted. And so they're like, hey... Like, and I know like the vocal minority, blah, 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 but it sounds like that's what people really, really want to get their hands on.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for all of y'all's sakes that there's something in the works for that, because I tend to stay away because I just die too quickly in those kinds of modes. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I just want to be able to collect all of my herbs in peace. So when I'm playing these Resident Evil games, I hoard everything.
Yes,
like,
of course.
You have to, and I backtrack to and from so many times in a row because I don't care if my chest is overflowing. I need to have every item in there because you just never know. But in these kind of other modes, it's not really easy to do that, and you play with people way better than you, and other bots way better than you.
I will trek all the way from like the freaking Kendo's gun shop to the front entrance of RPD for like a single blue herb to put him in the bin.
Seriously, because you never know when you're gonna need that. You don't know, and that's I think I love that about the Resident Evil game is I love the strategy that comes along with that, right? Like, okay, so what item am I gonna bring with me? And some people might find that's a little annoying because it's a survival game. A big staple of that genre is you got to do inventory management. But I love that about this game, and I just it makes me feel like I'm being all like good and prepared, like a Cub Scout, Same.
I was playing Remake 1 for the first time in like 6 months or a year just the other day, and like you were saying, you never know. I've finished this game 100 times, and this time, though, I kept getting poisoned.
Oh,
I kept getting... the snake would get me, the spider would spray me. And all of a sudden, I was out of blue herbs, getting poisoned. I was like, holy shit, like, I'm actually in danger here.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
And see, because you did make that trek from Kendo's.
Seriously.
Kendo's not Ari. Don't at me. I know.
Yeah.
I know. Oh no, I love that so much, and I'm really excited about that in Village as well. I think it looks like it's going to be back, and I kind of want this game to kick my ass in a good way. Yeah,
I know they have the pre-order hard difficulty, which is super annoying. It's like, let me just choose my own difficulty, please. Easy, normal, hard, very hard. Play how you want to play.
Exactly.
Weird that it's like a pre-order thing.
Yeah. But how do you feel about in RE2, and I don't know if they did this in 3, but the ability to buy the unlimited ammo, basically baby-ass baby mode?
Yeah. Single player game, so you play how you want to play. You started the episode saying about Game Shark and everything. However you enjoy it. I personally love trying to get the S ranks, unlocking everything for myself, but the fact that this there is cool to just help people along.
No, totally. Like, obviously, I'm right there with you. Because if it hadn't been for those codes back in the day, like, granted, I haven't been able to use those since, like, what, RE4 at this point. So, but, you know, I never would have gotten hooked on it. Because what I love more than anything about the series is, again, like, the bonkers story. You know, I love finding the little notes that kind of give you some deep dives into, like, what's going on.
Yeah.
The crazy ass. I miss the zombies. I hope the zombies come back. Okay, good. Yeah.
I love zombies. Like, Remake 1 and original Resident Evil 2 are my favorite games of all time. Classic zombies. Love it. Yeah, once, like, we've been dancing around it. The only game in this entire franchise I don't like, Resident Evil 6.
Yeah.
It's the only one.
I didn't mind Leon's campaign that much.
Yeah.
I thought that was, like, okay. But the other, I actually tried to get back into RE6. Ooh, God, maybe like 6 months ago. And I was like, oh, boy, I forgot about this.
Brad and I have given it, we've streamed full playthroughs like twice, I think, of this game. Like, higher difficulties. We've given it so many chances. And it's just like, no.
It just doesn't grow on you.
Yeah, but, you know, to spin it in a positive light, through that game, out of the ashes of that came Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Remake 2, Resident Evil Remake 3, like, Revelations 2 is incredible. Just kind of all these games around 6. So, you know, maybe in the end it was for the best.
I think so.
They just totally reinvented it.
Thank God that's the route they took too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen so many franchises and series try to pivot, and they just don't do a great job of it. And then they're never really given that chance after they've failed. And, you know, obviously when you have a bigger publisher like Capcom, like, you have more freedom to kind of like trial and error a little bit. And I'm so happy that, like you said, if that's what it took, that's what it took. But Resident Evil's never been stronger, you know, and it's so great to see. And I love that we're all still playing this game so many years later. I feel like we grew up with this series, right?
I know. There's really nothing like it. Like, I just think of these long-running franchises, and there's just not many. You know, it's part of the reason so many people love the MCU is because you've been watching these characters for over a decade, just so attached. But 25 years now, Resident Evil.
Years.
I just don't want to let you go. So before we get into the Village hype to end the show, we're definitely going to end with Village because it's coming up.
Oh.
But before that, just some fun stuff. You said earlier Resident Evil 2 is your favorite, so let's hear just kind of your favorite Resident Evil, your favorite monster. Do you have a favorite boss? Just give me some of your favorites from this whole franchise.
Favorites. Yeah,
favorite stuff.
Favorite
weapon.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, my favorite weapon has to be the rocket launcher, because that's how every freaking Resident Evil ends, is with the rocket launcher missile to the face of whatever enemy it is you're fighting, and then there you go. You know, favorite enemy, you know, recently, and maybe it's because of RE2 Remake, I have a soft spot for Mr. X. I really, I do. It's his little dapper top hat. It's his trench coat. It's the mods of him wearing the umbrella thong. Like, I just can't. I'm like, he kind of grew on me. Like, he annoyed the piss out of me because he's everywhere. And hearing him stomp around is just terrifying.
So freaky.
That's why whenever that game first came out, and, you know, I got an advanced review copy and I was able to play it, people are like, when do I trigger Mr. X? Like, I'm like, just don't go into the RPD office. Just, like, stay a little bit away for a while. But I would say he's the one that actually freaked me out the most. I think I'm kind of numb to zombies at this point. G was terrifying as well. And Nemesis, like, he just turned into a big abomination of muscle tissue and blobs. And well, he kind of like, at one point he was like running around the ceiling. Anyway, he never really scared me that much either. But I think Mr. X, because he's always falling, you can hear him. Hear him.
Just stepping. It's like, is he a floor above me? Is he a floor below me? Is he right outside?
Have you seen the footage where you're in the safe room and they zoomed out the mods and you can see him like literally like scanning the entire level like for you? He's like zipping around 90 miles an hour looking for your ass. So he's like, let's see that.
I want Lady D to bust into a save room. Just no quarter, no safety.
I don't think I would mind that. Let's be real. I don't think I would care. So yeah, I would say like out of that, favorite characters, for example, I mean, I really love Claire. I think she's just really fun. Jill really grew on me in Resident Evil 3 Remake. I think they did a really fantastic job at expanding her. And I love her personality. And again, like the banter between her and Carlos is just like
the best.
So good. And I think Carlos, for that matter, actually got a really great makeover as well. Not just physically, but like mentally. He's just not as cheeseball, right?
When he learns that Umbrella was behind everything and that Jill trusted him anyway, even though she knew and he didn't.
Yeah.
Like when he punches the computer, like, I love that moment.
Oh, so good. So good.
Awesome.
I would say poor Brad Vickers. I'm so conflicted about him. I want to like him because I know he saved their asses in RE, but then after that, poor chicken heart, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember on Twitter, we were talking about the books. The Resident Evil novels.
Oh, they're so
I know you said Mr.
good.
X.
Yes. S.D. Perry is so great at those books, and I love them, and they still are so good.
Shout out to those books. Love those books.
I loved reading those. Fun fact, I used to read those when I used to work at a 9-to-5 like desk job, and we had this little room in there. And it was like a little like safe space away from the rest of the bullshit of the office. And it had a little recliner in there, like a little lamp and everything. I would go in there, I would play the safe music room, the safe room music, and I would read those books in there. Like a fucking like the fucking nerd I am. And I was like, this is me living my best life.
It's the best. That is the best.
It was so good. Oh, they're just so good.
Life.
Definitely check them out if you haven't, people. Yeah. Do it.
I will see that story, and I will share that in high school Spanish class and keyboarding, both of those classes, I had the PS1 flip top, and I used to play Resident Evil 1 under my desk in class.
No! Seriously?
Yep. Finally got in trouble in Spanish. My teacher was like, dude, no.
How did you get away with that? That's amazing.
Keyboarding class, I got away because the teacher was so chill, and if you finished your typing really fast, my assignment's done.
I forgot about those little flip tops, man. Yeah. Those were the best. So small and compact. They had a little screen on them. Oh, man. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
so, Village, Resident Evil Village. Here we are, 25th anniversary here. Do you think we'll get anything for the 25th anniversary? I'm hoping for a original trilogy port just to current consoles, because the originals are still kind of stuck on PS3 era.
I would love that. And this is what we were saying earlier, is there's just so much that I feel like they could announce, and we would just be so excited about it. Like, port the original trilogy, give Code Veronica a remake, do something with RE4. I don't know, give us a Jill spin-off game. Like, remake Resident Evil remake. Like, I don't know. There's just so much potential. There really is. I would love to see that. But because it is going to be the 25th anniversary, I mean, you have to imagine that there's some surprises in store.
Yeah. Village, though, what do you want to see? What do you want to see from this game? How did you like 7 compared to other games in the series? And do you think 8 can live up to that or surpass that?
I'm so excited. Yeah, so I love Resident Evil 7. I really did. I think, especially like you were saying earlier, going back off of what they came from, which was RE6, right? And then you go, and then there's obviously like some little things in between that, but then the next main line was RE7, and there's just the leap and bounds between those games were just so significant. And you could really get a feel of that survival horror aspect back again. Yeah. I think it's in the middle of one of the rooms in RE7, and there's like a gun case in there or something, and I think it's in their house. Anyway, like I was in there looking around, and I was like, man, this reminds me so much of the older games. And it was at that moment that I'm like, oh, they're going back to it, man. They're going back to it. Yes, and so I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I think that the whole thing with Evelyn was like a little off the walls and like not my favorite virus type or whatnot, but I mean, like, other than that, like, I thought the survival horror aspect of it was just really great. Ethan as a character isn't like my favorite. He's not super standout-ish, but again, like, maybe with Village they'll be able to expand on him, right?
Totally. I really feel like this is now Ethan's time to shine or build as a character. Absolutely. There's got to be some kind of secret with him, right?
You would think. Do you think Ethan's gonna die at the end of Village? Because I think at the opening in one of these trailers is his story comes to a close, and that makes me think this is either like the end of him, or he's getting just knocked off. I don't know. Yeah. But what
if it's a misdirect and it's like his name isn't Ethan, so it's like Ethan's story, but now this character, like now he's really,
or maybe they're talking about Chris.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know. I don't know, but they liked him enough, and they thought he was important enough to bring back the village. So clearly, like, he's playing an important role there. But to go back to your question, I think Village can absolutely live up to the hype of I think what we're all feeling for it right now, and especially with the lessons they learned in RE7 and their whole journey to get to this point, right? Yeah. And I think them going back and remaking some of the other games maybe reminded Capcom, like, okay, so this is what people love about your games. Mm-hmm. Like how well Resident Evil 2 Remake did. Takes a little bit of this pie and a little bit of that pie and make a delicious pie in Village.
Yes!
You know what I mean? Big, yummy, juicy pie. Like,
yes!
Let's go with it.
Biohazard pie.
Yes! Biohazard pie! It's my favorite kind of pie. Yeah, I am so thrilled. Like, what I think I'm most looking forward to is, like, the snowy parts look really pretty and all that. I want to get inside that castle. And I just want to look around. Because in that Maiden demo, I played it a few times.
So good looking.
Oh, it's so pretty. And everywhere you look, there's attention to detail. If it's not on the vases or on the door handles or the door themselves, like, everything is just gorgeous. And it wasn't until my second or third playthrough of Maiden that I noticed in the Great Hall area where there's, like, the fireplace, and then there's like a little chair in there. There's a man's, like, hat. There's a few boots, or maybe just one boot, a cane, an umbrella. Like, so there was recently...
That connection.
Yeah, like whose stuff was that, and why is it here? Why is there a bunch of man's discarded items, and, like, the chairs are flipped over, I think, or something? What's going on? You know, and just kind of looking at some of those notes, it's kind of fun to think, where are they taking this story?
Yeah. I don't know. We're going to find out.
Day 7. Soon.
Yeah, we are, like, just about 2 months, give or take, away from Resident Evil Village. I want to say thank you for joining us, Brittney.
Anytime.
This was a 10 out of 10. Yeah, once Village comes out, we'll do a full reaction or analysis.
It is so therapeutic.
It may be.
To chat with another fellow, like, Resident Evil dork. I mean, you have no idea. This conversation has been so long coming. It is just so exciting. I feel like we could go on for hours, literally. Same.
Full Resident Evil retrospective, like every single game. Yeah. But seriously, thank you so much for joining Resident Evil 25th Anniversary, a franchise that means so much to so many people that have been there from varying times of when these games came out, you know, new fans all the time, just a new golden era for this series. It just won't stop. It just keeps going.
Don't stop. Please don't stop.
Yeah, don't stop.
We want to be on this train, man, till the very end.
Yes. Did you want to shout out anything on What's Good Games or anything?
Sure, yeah. So I'm part of the What's Good Games podcast, and we release a new episode every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. You can watch the videos on youtube.com/whatsgoodgames, but if you're an audio-only listener, you can just listen on your favorite podcast platform of choice.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, Brittney, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Resident Evil. Yes, Resident Evil Village soon. See you then.